Verifying a trig identity. So I have an identity here, and I'm going to solve this as if I were proving it, so that you can use this video for both proving and verifying. In verifying, you just need to be able to say that you're using a reciprocal property or a quotient property or the Pythagorean property or an even and odd property. Okay, and so verifying is telling why each step works. Proving is coming up with the step and the why. Okay, so when you're doing this, you always start with the most complicated side. To me, this looks the most complicated. It has tangent, it has a sine squared, and this one looks simple. Okay, so you start with this, and your whole goal is to change this side to look like that. So, starting here, I'm going to look at what I can do. Now, this one I recognize as a property. If you look at the Pythagorean property, sine squared plus cosine squared is 1. If I move sine squared over here, cosine squared equals 1 minus sine squared. And I have 1 minus sine squared. So the first step here is cosine squared x tan x. And this is because of the Pythagorean property. Okay? Where cosine squared x equals 1 minus sine squared x. Okay? Next, I am going to replace tangent with its sine and cosine. So I'm going to get cosine squared x, sine x, cosine x. Okay? Now this is using a quotient property, because you see this is the quotient property of tangent. Okay? Next, I can cancel, because this is cosine squared and cosine, so I can cancel the squared with this, and I'm going to get cosine x, sine x. And I did this using algebra. Okay? If it's not one of these properties, and you're just canceling something like you would have with numbers or with x's or that kind of thing, that's where you can claim that we just did it with algebra. Okay, so canceling this cosine and this cosine was simply algebra. And that is the proof. Again, for verifying, you would need to find these. For proving, you need to do both. So let's try another one. Okay, I have cotangent x, cosine x, plus sine x. So I'm looking at this, and it all has to equal cosecant x. Well, this is the simplest of the two sides. This is the complicated side. So I'm going to start using the quotient ratio for this. So I'm going to have this be cosine x over sine x times cosine x plus sine x. Okay, and this is the quotient. Okay, a quotient property. Next, I am going to multiply these to put them together. So cosine squared x over sine x plus sine x. This is just algebra. Now, I want to combine these two fractions, because you see in the end I have to have only one. So I'm going to combine these by multiplying sine on the top and sine on the bottom. So I get cosine squared x plus sine squared x all over sine x. Okay, because they now have a common denominator. And this is also algebra. But now I'm going to use a property here. Okay, so looking here, Pythagorean property, sine squared plus cosine squared is 1. And I have cosine squared plus sine squared. So this up here is 1. So 1 over sine x. This is the Pythagorean theorem, the Pythagorean properties. Okay, and then this, according to the reciprocal properties, 1 over sine is cosecant. So this is cosecant, come on, cosecant x. And this is the reciprocal property. This should be an E, properties. All right, and that is how you prove this other property.